Hi guys, welcome back to Soul and Soma Talk. I'm Barbara, your host, and today we're diving into a topic that so many of you messaged me about, dating. Dating can be exciting, scary, confusing, healing, confronting all at once. And whether you're new to dating or you're starting over after a long relationship or maybe dating later in life, it's such a powerful time for growth. And I truly believe that dating isn't just about finding someone, it's about finding yourself. But I didn't always think that way. And today I'm going to share a couple of personal stories that you may be able to relate to so you don't feel so alone. And also to talk about dating, to talk about meeting your person, because all of us tend to have behavioral patterns, and when we talk to our friends and our work colleagues, sometimes it can keep us being stuck and doing the same thing. We do the same thing, we get the same result. And sometimes if we have a certain type of person, even though every time we meet someone new, they can look different, but they're exactly the same. So I really believe that dating isn't just about finding someone. It's about finding yourself, and it's about noticing how you show up, what you tolerate, how you communicate, and whether you're coming from a place of fullness or from lack. I wouldn't think about any of those things when I was dating, because the energy that you bring into dating sets the tone for the kind of partner and relationship that you attract. So when we date, whoever we're dating mirrors back to us where we are emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And it brings up your patterns, your fears, your triggers, but also your growth and your healing. So you might notice old patterns reappearing. Maybe people pleasing, maybe you're overthinking, doubting yourself, or shrinking to be liked. Or maybe you see that you now speak up for yourself. You take your time and you trust your intuition more than you used to. It's all a win. And every person that you meet is an opportunity to learn something about yourself. What you like, what you don't like, what you need, and what you'll never settle for ever again. So let's dive into some green flags. Let's look at some good stuff. So the biggest green flag of dating is it's not in the other person, but it's in you. So the biggest green flag of all is that you're coming from a place of fullness, not emptiness. What that means is that you're not looking for someone to complete you or to make you a better person. I want you to think of that you already feel whole. You're already loved and grounded in yourself. So it's almost like sometimes when you're dating, you feel like, oh, I just need this person to make me happy. I just need another person to make me feel good about myself. I just need another person. Like it's almost like you feel like you have a hole in your heart or in yourself, and you're like, I want someone to fill that up. So that's not coming from a place of fullness. That's coming from a place of lack and scarcity and fear. So when we're dating from fullness, when we feel good about ourselves and we know our worth and we know what we want, you know who you are and what you value. And you're not afraid to say no when something doesn't feel right. You don't abandon yourself to be chosen, and you take your time in getting to know someone, no rushing and no forcing. On that one, before I recorded this podcast, before I got on here with you guys, I made a list of every guy I dated from like high school and right through till today, and wrote down everyone who I dated. And it's just kind of an interesting exercise, even if we do that. Write down like who I dated, and it's interesting when you actually see it on paper. And then the other thing was I noticed that I moved quite quickly in all of these relationships. I mean, the relationship itself moved quickly, but also I let it happen. I moved these relationships quite quickly. So when we're talking about dating today, my personal experience with dating is I don't think I've really ever dated. I think If I'm just looking at my list now, I would say, wow. Okay, if I'm going to be really honest, I'd say 3 dates, 4 dates max. And then I was in a relationship with these guys. Wow. I don't even know them. You just think about it. If you go on 3, 4 dates with someone, how do you know if they're right for you? How do you, I would just let them into my life after 3 or 4 dates. I wouldn't do that now, but back then I was just I think one of the things is when you're an empath, or you're a really kind person, is that you always think the other person is kind too. So it's like, oh my God, they're so nice, or they're so lovely. So if you find yourself saying that when you're dating really early on, oh my God, he or she, oh, they're so lovely. I'm like, hang on, let's just check in with ourselves. Yes, of course they'll be lovely, because why on earth would you waste your time with someone that's a dick? So that's the first thing. But the second thing is, they're so lovely. Are they? How do you know after 3 or 4 times? And are you on your best behavior? Are you being your best self? So when you date, we all show versions of ourselves. We're going to show ourselves in our best light. We're still ourselves, but it's a version of ourselves. And then over time, we start to see the real person. We become that real person. So when you say someone, oh, they're so sweet, or they're so lovely, oh, they're so nice, you'll actually even say it in that tone. So listen out. Next time you're at work, or you're with family, or you're with some girlfriends or guy mates, and they start saying they've met someone and they're dating, and they will go up an octave, and you actually go, oh, because they will say the words, oh, she's so lovely, or he's so lovely, and I'm like, really? I don't want to put shade on anyone, but it's more, how quick are we, when we're nice people, how quick are we to transfer that to someone else and go, oh, they're so lovely? You don't even know them. And yes, they might be the love of your life, but also, again, from my personal experience too, how quick I was to be like, oh, you're so nice. Oh my God, Barbara, you didn't even know him. You didn't even, and they weren't lovely. So I was like, oh my gosh, how quickly I didn't date properly. I didn't know how to date. And I had no voice. And it's so interesting because I'm a very opinionated, strong woman, and I say what I think, and that has never changed. But in the dating world, for some reason, oh, I know why it is, and I've worked through that, but it's like we abandon ourselves just to be liked or to be chosen. So we need to take our time getting to know someone, no rushing, no forcing. And we can hold on to our boundaries in a good way. And we can walk away if something doesn't feel right. And it doesn't destroy us, doesn't break us. And you know that if we do like someone and the date or the person we're dating, it's like, oh, look, you're not the person for me. I don't want to be with you. What I want you to also realize is that's not a reflection of your worth. We always tend to, when someone doesn't want to be with us, we're like, oh God, what's wrong with us? Hang on. It's got nothing to do with us. It wasn't meant to be. They're not your person. How about rejection is also redirection? So someone's better to come along. They're not your person, but we take it personally. Let's look at some other green flags for a moment. So when you're dating someone, these green flags can be in ourselves and in the person we're dating. So they communicate openly and respectfully. They follow through with what they say. Oh my gosh, that's a big one. And ladies, I want to give you a heads up. Guys say what they mean and mean what they say. So they're not like us. So when they message something, they will say how they feel. We always read between the lines or show it to our girlfriends like, oh my God, what does this mean? And we come up with all these different, very layered responses. They mean what they say what they mean. And it's like, you'll know if a guy likes you. There's no two ways about it. He will make sure that the next date's planned. He will always, doesn't matter how busy he is. Doesn't matter if he owns $1 billion company. Doesn't matter if he's got 100 kids. I'm just saying this for an example, right? He will make or he or she will make the time. and it won't be an issue. It won't be a problem. So they follow through with what they say. I want you to really pay attention to that. That's a big one. You feel calm around this person. You don't feel anxious. So for all of you out there that get butterflies when you meet someone, that's not a good thing. I want to repeat that. When you get butterflies or feel like giddy, that's actually not a good thing. That's your nervous system saying that that's a pattern of behavior that is not love, and it's not a good thing. Even when I was dating, if I was told that, I probably still wouldn't have listened to it. I got it every time. So, yeah. And when you go on a date, you don't have to perform. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to fix yourself. I just want you to be you. And the right person will respect your boundaries. So say if you have the kids 2 nights a week, and on the 2 nights a week are the only nights that he is free. Sorry, mate. Find another time. Like, make it work. You don't change yourself to fit the other person, especially in the beginning. Later on, hey, there's a bit of give and take and stuff. But if you have boundaries, don't bend them for someone else, especially when you don't know who they are. I know that probably sounds hardball, but there's a method to this. The person that you're dating, they're emotionally available. They're available. They're self-aware, and they take accountability when it's needed. And their energy and their messaging and their language is not hot and cold. If someone is like really inconsistent with messages, or someone's like, hey, I want to catch up on a date on Tuesday, and then Tuesday comes and goes, you're like, piss off. Like, you want someone that follows through with what they say, they're consistent, and they're not hot and cold. Because if they're hot and cold now, oh my God, imagine what they're going to be like when you're in a relationship with them. It's going to be they're showing you who the person they are already. When you meet someone that's the best version, we're not going to change them. And yeah, someone's not going to change. We can't change someone. So you've got to realize that when you meet someone that's the best they're ever going to be, that's the best they're ever going to show up, and they're not going to change, are you okay with that? You can grow with each other and make each other better, but that person can't change on their own. So when we look at green flags in dating, this is like a bit of a mantra. This is like a bit of a saying I want you to say to yourself when you're dating. I want you to say, I am whole right now as I am. I don't need someone to complete me. I'm looking for someone who adds to my life, and doesn't fill it. So, yeah, when you come from a place of, just thinking of a personal story I can share, when I was coming from a place of lack, well, that was my whole dating life. Coming from a place of lack, I was like, I'm nothing special, and what do I know? And I'd always make it about the other person. Oh my God, I'd go above and beyond and do everything for that person. And I was like, I don't mind if I get nothing, I mean get nothing is just like pay for dinner, or like, oh my God, literally. I had no self-respect and no boundaries, but my kind of dating mantra back then was like, if the other person's happy, I'm happy. It's total bullshit, Barbara. That doesn't work that way. But I didn't realize that. I was like, if I shower this person with so much love and gifts and like do everything for him, oh my God, he'll just know how amazing I am. How about just I'm amazing at the beginning? Like, I don't need to do anything to win anyone over. And that really didn't work. So it's interesting that when you come from a place of lack, or you want someone to validate you, or give you compliments, or make you feel better because you're lacking, because everyone else out there has a partner, so I better go have a partner, and you dismiss everything that you like to. And another way of saying that is almost like, what's an example? Okay, I'm not really proud of this example. Okay, I'm just going to give this example. So I'm someone that I've had a good party era in my life. I'd go to dance parties and have a lot of fun, and I was never a heavy drinker or anything like that. But it was interesting that when I would date certain guys and they would have certain behavior patterns, I would copy them. So one guy I dated drunk every day, and drank a lot every day, and had got into the habit of we'd go to the pub every single day. Every single day. Oh my God. I'd have pints of beer every single day. And this was only 15 years ago. It wasn't, 15 years ago was a long time, but it was, 15 years ago. And I'd go to the pub every single day after work and the weekend, and we'd always have parties at our house. And I just remember one Sunday being at this particular pub and saying to my partner at the time, oh my God, this is sad. Like, I knew that lifestyle wasn't for me. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, we come here, and I dated him on and off for about 18 months. But this particular pub would go to all the time, and he'd have a running tab and everyone would know him because he'd be there all the time. But I remember like sitting there on a Sunday afternoon and looking around, and the same people were sitting on the bar stools, the same people in their group. Like, it was just the same people. And I was just like, oh, he was like, what? And I was like, this is really sad. And I said, what do you mean? I said, and, if you know me, I don't really talk quietly. And I was like, oh, this is so sad. Look at these losers. Like, and I was one of those people at that time. I was like, oh, these people just hanging around, and like, what a life. Like, yay, it's Sunday, let's go to the pub. Like, oh my God. And you'd be like, Barbara, shut up. And I was like, and I just remember that moment looking around, and there was that connection. Like, I know I'm kind of working out who I am, but why am I spending my weekends doing something that isn't really me, but just to do it because my partner does it? And otherwise, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be spending time with him. So I did it to spend time with him. And I kind of, at the beginning was fun. Sure, I missed a bit of fun in my 20s. So I was like, making up for lost time. I definitely did that. But then that wore thin, and then it got to the point where I was like, why are his habits becoming my habits and my lifestyle? Ugh, this isn't my lifestyle. So just be wary of that. When you're dating someone, don't turn into that person, because again, that's just dismissing who you are as an individual. Okay, so now let's talk about red flags. I know that you see them all the time now on social media or in movies and all that kind of stuff. So the red flags can be also with ourselves and then the other person we're dating. So you've got to remember that red flags, we always go, oh my God, they're a red flag. But we need to be accountable for ourselves too and be like, oh, hang on, what am I doing that could be red flags? Because we're all human beings. None of us are perfect. So when we're dating from a place of lack and fear and emptiness, we tend to ignore these red flags because we want it to work. Yep, that was me. And we want to be liked, and we want to be chosen, and we want to feel good. And when we do that, we start settling for stuff that we're not okay with, but we just ignore it. And that's where also heartbreak can happen, because we're not being true to ourselves. And we end up in something that will break our heart. So red flags in ourselves might look like saying yes when we really mean no, feeling anxious when they don't text back, and we need that constant reassurance, ignoring our intuition when something feels off. This is a good one. This is what Barbara would do all the time, over-explaining or over-giving to earn love. Confusing chemistry with connection. That one is interesting, because how many times have you dated someone that you might have dated a few times or been in a relationship with them? When you write down on paper what connection you have and what you have in common, you don't have anything in common. Like, how interesting. Just take that. I mean, listen to that for a moment. Chemistry is one thing, but when we don't have a connection and we don't have things in common, isn't that interesting? Another red flag is making excuses for someone's inconsistent behavior. So I find that that's kind of a common thing when we're talking to our girlfriends or our guy mates. Oh, they haven't called me back, or they haven't messaged me, or we always tend to make up excuses. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching the movie He's Just Not That Into You. It's a really good one about making excuses for someone's inconsistent behavior. Another one is tolerating disrespect because you're afraid of being alone. and then believing that if you just love them enough, they will change. Or if they just see how good you are, they will want to stay with you. Not healthy at all. And we can lose ourselves in that process of wanting someone to like us. And when we look at the other person, some red flags are they're inconsistent with communication or affection. They talk about their exes disrespectfully, or the mother of the children disrespectfully. They move too fast. They love bomb. They make big promises early on, or say things like, I've never ever met anyone like you before. Oh, you're exactly what I'm looking for. What else? Now, those might sound really nice and sweet, but most of the time they're always said date 2, sometimes even date 1 out the gate. Date 1, 2, 3, 4. If anyone says to you, oh my gosh, you're the love of my life, you're my soulmate, oh, we have so many common, like that. It's like, no, you don't. Because that's very toxic behavior. And that's also, you don't know. Remember, they don't know you and you don't know them. So keep that in mind. The big promises early on. If you want to get married and have children, you better believe a toxic relationship or a toxic person will promise you those exact things on date 2 or date 3. What? I'm only laughing at myself because these were all me. Honestly, and that's why I think I'm one of the best people to give this information to you, to give this episode to you, because I've lived it and breathed it. And I didn't even know what a red flag was. That's how little I used to know. So if we look at red flags, if we go back to that and look at them in the other person, they don't ask questions about us. It's all about them. They avoid any accountability or any emotional depth. They just keep it very surface level. An example of that, they avoid emotional depth, might even be the type of date. So dates should be experiences, or dates should be like fun activities that you do together, not just come round to my house. We should never invite someone over, especially if we're a woman. I mean, this goes for guys too, but our place of home, our residence, is our safe place, is our private place, is somewhere that we should only let people come into our safe place when we really know them. And when people lack emotional depth, most of the time that shows in dating. So it shows in the lack of someone, hey, I saw this market, or let's go do this, or I remember you telling me that you really like cheese, or you really like red wine, let me take you to this winery, or let me, there's this French movie, I know you like movies with subtitles, or, I don't know, something like that, that shows the emotional depth that they've listened to you. And it's just interesting dating culture now with the swiping and the let's catch up. Most of the time it's done over alcohol, and most of the time it's done, you go to his house or her house and they cook you dinner. What? For your first or second date or third date? No. Why on earth would you go at not only you have to be careful for your safety, but especially if they're coming to your house. So when we look at this avoiding emotional depth, I just want you to think about the type of dates and what you do for the dates and the cycle of them. If it's just, I'll come to your house, you'll come to my house. You know, back in the days it was Netflix and chill, and even that wasn't okay. But you go to their house, they cook you dinner, then you stay over. I mean, is that really getting to know someone? Is that really dating? I do understand when there's kids involved and you only have one, but still, you should be getting out of their house. You should be seeing them what they're like in public. You should be seeing how they interact with people. You should see them during the day, without alcohol, preferably for the first few dates, just to see what the person's like with no substance in their body, like no alcohol in their body. You know what? These are just things to think about. Another one with red flags, another person, is you feel confused after being around them. Like they just leave, or you leave their house and you're like, what is going on? That's a red flag. Or they make you doubt yourself or your worth or your reality. And like I said before, when people start dating, I always share with my clients, just remember they're showing you their best behavior. And if it doesn't feel right now, if it doesn't feel good right now, if it doesn't feel right now, it is not going to get any better. And that's the hard thing. Because we always go, oh, but they're having a bad day, or they're stressful, or they've got a lot on their plate, or they're sorting the... No. As soon as you start going down that, I want you to start thinking about it. I want you to trust your body and your intuition. If something feels off, it is off. We don't even need to explain or have evidence of it. It's just off. For me, it's interesting, like I said to you guys, and I was writing down all the guys I'd had relationships with or had dated. When I'm looking at them now. And one thing that I worked with my own mentor quite recently is one of the things that the story I would tell myself is, and this is really interesting, guys don't approach me, I never get asked out, and there's this whole narrative that for many years I'd kept telling myself. And it was actually utter bullshit because I was actually unavailable myself. I actually wasn't open to dating, and then the wrong type of guy would come up and talk to me and it would fit my story. Oh, no guy ever talks to me. So if this guy comes up and talks to me, oh, well, maybe he could be the one. And then if I'm being really honest with you, one thing that I worked out with my mentor was, and she got me to do this exercise, like write down the serious relationships I had and write down the first moment I met each of those guys. So for me, there's 4 main relationships I've had in my life with men, and that, it's been a serious relationship. I've lived with 3 of them, and then the other one was like still a serious relationship. I worked with him. So when I look at those, and she was like, walk me through when you first met each one, what were you like as a person? What was the interaction like? What did you think of them, and how did the dates go? And really quickly, as I went through like my ex-husband and the guy after, I really quickly worked out what had happened. I had actually drawn them in to learn the things that I need to learn. So I had this, what I would do is when I would meet someone that I was attracted, that I felt emotionally, sexually, physically, all the attractions, all the things, like, oh, he's all right, and wow, I might have a relationship with him, I quite like him. When that feeling, when I met these guys, I would meet them. The first one I went to a party with him, one of his friends' party. Oh, let me just go through these with you so you can see. So the first one, my ex-husband, he was my trainer. He was my personal trainer at the gym. And I'd liked him for a long time, and he liked me for a long time. But we both didn't realize. But when he asked me out to a party, isn't it interesting, even now looking back now, he left me alone. For a lot of the night, he went off and talked to his mates, and I sat there by myself at a party. Right? Like the first time. And then from that moment, I started to go into this, fantasy is the only word, but I started to think and dream, oh, I really like this guy. Oh, what is it going to be like living with someone like that? And I started to think of all these scenarios and build him up to be this person that he's not in my head. And then I actually worked out, when we went through the other guys that I dated, most dates were meeting at the pub. Let me look at them. Yeah, out for dinner, for lunch, pub, beer, alcohol. It's all around it, right? And on each one, when I would meet someone, these 4 guys that I had relationships with, and I was like, oh, I really like them, what I would do in my head for each one is start thinking, oh, what would it be like living with him? And we could do this and we could do that. Oh my God, I don't know where that comes from. And I just think that's interesting that I don't know if you guys do that. When you meet someone, you don't know them, but you go out with them for a couple of times and you see, obviously the good in them and you're attracted to them, which is important. But then I went off in my head. I was like, oh my God, cool. We can go do this. And a relationship's going to be like this. And I was like, wow. And I didn't realize that I drew them in. When I looked at every single one of those 4 relationships, they might have like taken the first step in, but I carried it on. I was the one that pushed it forward. I was the one that kept the momentum going. They didn't chase me. Isn't that interesting? I want you to do that. I want you to go back and have a look at the relationships you've had. And I want you to think of who were you when you first met them. I want you to think about really carefully what they were like. What did you overlook? What can you see now that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I let that slip? Or, oh my God, he or she talked about this and I heard it, but I didn't hear it. We need to go back to the first date, the second date. What did you do? How did you feel? It is really mind-blowing when you actually go back and see it play out. And for me, it was, oh my God, I brought all of these guys into, it's not their fault. I was the one that chased them and I asked them to be with me. Whoa. So that was like my realization that I want to share with you guys, which like hit me hard. Like it was good, but I was like, oh my God. Wow. It was just like surreal. This stuff is really powerful when we do this work on ourselves too. But yeah, I would make these stories up in my head that, oh my God, we're going to do this and they're going to be like this, rather than actually seeing what was in front of me, listening to what they were saying, watching their actions, and then not interpreting what I think it was. Like, but that's okay. Like, we don't know any better. This is what we're here. We're here to learn. So if you want to attract healthy love, it starts with you, and you have to do the inner work. There's no way about it. There's the relationships a common thing I hear from my clients is like, oh my God, like I'm the only one in my friend group, or everyone else has a partner or a wife or a husband. I'm like, cool, good for them. That's not your life. This is your life right now. And how many people do you know in your friend circles or your work circles that are unhappy but are together for the kids, are unhappy but they've settled because of financial agreements? Or, you know what? Honestly, there are some people out there that are in relationships that are unhappy that you would have no idea. Doesn't say that we're happy all the time in relationships. No. Relationships are there. The true meaning of finding a relationship or finding your person is for them to trigger you. This is the hard thing for us to accept, right? The reason why we're put on this earth to find a soulmate, to find that person, is that person will trigger us and you'll trigger them in whatever way because they're a mirror. And then we get to decide. And when it's a healthy relationship, we get to decide, okay, they've triggered me. How many times have you been in a relationship? You're like, oh, it's them. But when you point at someone, you've got 3 fingers pointing back at you. So you got to realize it's us. And so when you meet your person or your soulmate, whatever you want to call it, they will trigger you. And in a healthy relationship, we get to decide, which is really cool. We get to go, okay, oh my God, I'm feeling like this. Okay. Why are they making me feel like this? What do I need to work through? What do I need to heal? Then what happens is they break us open, and then we level up with them and we make us a better person. We make us a better person. They're a better person. The relationship's a better relationship. It's a healthier relationship, and it grows and it expands, and that's that higher level of love. That's the unconditional. When you hear, oh, they make me a better person, that's correct. And you can't level up without that person. That's why that person's here. And that's what it is. It doesn't mean that they make me whole or I can't live without you, because that's bullshit. That's not healthy. It's you make me a better person is because they trigger us, they break us open, which then we can decide to stay small or stay the same, or we can grow with them. And we do the same for them. So that's cool. Once you know that, it's awesome. It's actually comes from a place of fullness. But you have to do the inner work. You can't avoid it. You have to build that relationship with yourself first. Otherwise, you're just going to keep repeating. And I promise you, even if you avoid this inner work or you do it a little bit and you think, oh my God, I've met this person. Oh, they're so different. The universe will give you that different person, different in every single aspect. So everything you were lacking in your last relationship will be a complete reverse and will give you everything you want. but inside it's still that same person that's going to trigger you that you need to grow until you come from a place of fullness within yourself. Because when you know your worth, you're going to stop chasing people, you're going to stop fixing them, or you're going to stop settling. So these are some questions I want you to ask yourself. Am I dating to fill a void or to share my wholeness? Do I know what I want and what I'm no longer available for? Am I listening to my intuition, or am I overriding it because I don't want to be alone? And do I feel calm and clear within myself? So when you're full within yourself, you're going to attract someone who meets you right there, someone who's done the work, someone that's full, and someone that's healthy and that's not toxic. And your energy shifts. You're not proving yourself to anyone, you're just being yourself. And when you're open and trusting and aligned with what feels right, you're going to find that right person. So when you're full, you're not going to settle for crumbs. So if you're out in the dating world right now, take this time as a season of growth. Notice how you feel and how you show up and what energy you're bringing. Because if you date from that fullness and that wholeness within yourself, from love and not from fear, you'll get to attract someone who mirrors that back. You're already whole. You're already enough. And the right person won't complete you. They're going to complement you. It's like the cherry on the top. So thank you for listening to today's episode. And if this resonated, please share it with someone who's dating or who's rediscovering themselves at the moment. And remember that dating isn't being about chosen. It's about choosing yourself first. And if you are wanting to work, one-on-one with me on this, is something I do specialize in. I specialize in relationships and dating and overthinking and over-analyzing and the green flags and the red flags and breaking cycles. And that's why a lot of clients come and see me for one-on-one work. So if you listen to this episode and was like, yeah, I want to have support while I'm dating, I want to have neutral support, so I'm not your friend or your work colleague, I'm a therapist, and it's quite handy when you're out in the dating world to have someone like me in your back pocket to, work through those early stages of dating and to have that support. And you learn so much about yourself as well. Come and check me out on my private practice page, which is Self-Care Studio, self_care_studio. And you can book appointments on there, online or in studio. And there is some truth to dating yourself first. Once you know yourself, what you like and don't like, it makes the dating world so much easier. And also join a club, get out there, go to the gym, go to parties, meet a lot of people face to face rather than online. I'm personally not a fan of the online apps, just because people can say or do anything or be anything. Yes, there are genuine people out there, but you've got to sift through kind of a lot of shit to get there. But that's what I mean. Like, all you're looking for is that one person, and I promise you that one person is looking for you right now. So I would love, So keep dating. Remember, the most important green flag is you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye.